Hello, my name is Rolling Boulder. Last night we camped just before Compass Creek. We found a very nice flat spot that we were able to share with another friendly backpacker. This area had some beautiful views. This morning we woke up to another beautiful day on Mount Hood and immediately began our journey by crossing both Compass Creek and Elliott Branch Crossing Point. The early light coming through the trees made the water glow, and the cold splash on our feet definitely woke us up. After a steady climb, we arrived at Cloud Gap Saddle Campground, where we decided to stop for breakfast at one of the picnic tables. It felt so good to sit down. This actually is a great place to camp. There is a small fee, but in exchange, you get a clean outhouse and a working water spigot. After eating a much needed breakfast, we cleaned up, topped off our bottles with cold, clear water, and continued our backpacking adventure around the mountain.
Hello, my name is Pops. As we continued around Mount Hood, we noticed the terrain started to change. The soft dirt trail gradually turned into a much rockier path as we climbed upward. With every step, it felt like we were getting closer and closer to the mountain itself. Not long into the climb, we encountered our first snowfield crossing, just the first of many more to come. I didn't bring trekking poles on this trip, so I had to borrow one of Dad's poles since the snow was getting wet and slippery under the warm sun. Even with the challenge, crossing the snowfields was a lot of fun. We even ended up having a snowball fight in the beginning of August. Two of the crossings, however, were a little sketchy. We didn't have micro spikes or two poles each, and the snow was soft, slushy, and angled just enough to make us pay attention. On one of them, the snow had these strange wave-like shapes, probably carved out by the wind blowing through the ravine.
By this time, we had already crossed 6 snowfields. What we didn't know was that we still had 5 more ahead of us. We kept telling ourselves the next one would be the last one, but they just kept coming and coming. Thankfully, our experience crossing snowfields on the Colorado Trail really paid off. Those miles of practice gave us the confidence we needed to handle each snow crossing, even when the snow was soft, angled, or a little sketchy. After we finally made it across what truly was the last snowfield, we found a small area with a few trees, just enough shade to give us a break from the sun. We took advantage of it and stopped there to eat lunch, grateful for the cool air and a chance to rest. We came across a stone shelter foundation at about mile 31.5. At that time, we didn't know much about it, but later we learned that the Timberline Trail was built in the 1930s by the Civilian Conservation Corps. As part of their work, the Civilian Conservation Corps constructed 9 shelters around Mount Hood. Stone structures in the high alpine zones where heavy snow would have crushed wooden roofs, and wooden shelters lower on the mountain where the winters were less harsh. Most of these shelters have not survived the decades of storms, avalanches, and shifting terrain. Some were destroyed and others have slowly collapsed, leaving only fragments or stone foundations like the one we found. Standing there, it was pretty amazing to think about the people who built it nearly a century ago, and the hikers and climbers who once relied on it for shelter. As we make our way toward the White River, the landscape really starts to open up. You can hear the rush of the glacier fed water long before you see it. The trail here has this wild, rugged feel, loose rocks, braided paths, and that constant roar reminding you how powerful Mount Hood is. Day 3 legs are definitely kicking in, but the views make every step worth it. This whole stretch feels like the mountain is showing off a bit, giving us that perfect blend of challenge and beauty.
Rolling Boulder and I just wrapped up an incredible backpacking adventure around Mount Hood on the Timberline Trail. For a weekend trip, this trail gives you everything: dry ridgelines, lush forests, fast-moving glacier rivers, and even several snow crossings. It's been absolutely amazing, and it's a trail we highly recommend. As we got closer to the Timberline Lodge, we started seeing the ski lifts, which definitely gave us that "we're almost there" boost. We actually planned our route to finish right at the Timberline Lodge so we could hit the famous Cascade Lodge breakfast buffet the next morning. And after hiking 42 miles in 2.5 days, that breakfast was next level. We also met some awesome backpackers from the Pacific Crest Trail. Always cool swapping stories with the people out on the big adventures. Thank you for joining us on this trip. Hopefully, this helps you plan your next backpacking adventure around Mount Hood.